Kia ora koutou. In this video, we're going to talk about how to recruit families into the Mana study and upload that information onto the REDCap data capture system. So we'll start by opening up the REDCap website on our tablet by clicking on the REDCap website link. So this link just opens up a browser. Now you can access the REDCap data management system from any computer with a browser. So your work laptop or desktop, or even a smartphone with a Chrome or Internet Explorer browser. You'll come to the REDCap login screen by going to redcap.otago.ac.nz. And from here, we can enter our username and password. I'm just going to pause the recording here while I enter in my username and password. So now that we have entered in the username and password, we can log on. And this will take you to a screen that has your projects. Now you'll only have one project listed, which is the Mana Study Main, shown at the bottom of my screen. So I'll click on Mana Study Main to enter the project. If you are using a tablet, you may come across a screen that looks like this. I've got my tablet in portrait mode at the moment, so I'm going to turn it to landscape mode. And here we can see there is a menu on the left-hand side. If you are using a phone or have your tablet in portrait mode, we can open up the menu by clicking on the top right hand of the screen with the 3 bars. It's menu, and then that brings up the menu. Now all you want to be doing in this REDCap system is to add or edit records or view existing records. On the left-hand menu, we can see that there is an area called Data Collection. And underneath this is the Record Status Dashboard. And it says add or edit records in red. So we're going to want to add a record, so we'll click on the red Add Edit Records button. This takes us to our next screen. And again, we want to add a new record. So this is a new client that we're working with. So we'll tap on Add New Record. Here, this brings up the information for that new participant. No information has been entered yet. And we're going to want to fill in their recruitment details. So there's a grey button in the middle of the screen here. Right here. So we're going to click on that to enter the information for the recruitment form. And this takes us to the data entry form. So we're going to enter the date of referral. And for your records, you can also enter a case identifier. Now, we don't want to be able to identify cases at this point, but you may want to for families that you have gone through and determined that they are ineligible to take part in the study. So something like their initials or first name only, but please don't use full names or NHI numbers. So I'm just going to enter, I'm going to pretend that my participant is called Bugs Bunny. So I'm going to enter in the initials BB. So when you first check whether a participant is eligible to take part in the study, you're going to go through about 6 questions to determine that. And these 6 questions are listed below. So does the referral you've received belong to a child with a neurodisability? That should be yes for the participant to be eligible. So we'll click on the yes. Which category best describes the child's health condition? If there is no diagnosis yet, but you believe it's likely to be a neurodisability, you can click awaiting diagnosis for suspected neurodisability. Otherwise, choose one of the other options. The child should be aged between 2 and 18 years inclusive. And they should be expected to receive 3 or more therapeutic sessions with you. The child should not have been referred solely for adaptive equipment. So we'll click no. And the child should not have been referred for group therapy only to take part in the study. So again, we click no. And The next question is, are there any known child protection issues? Now, these are issues where the family life for the child might be quite unstable, and we don't want to burden those families or enroll children who are in unstable home lives. So if you don't know of any and their home life appears quite stable, then that's fine. You can click no, there are no known child protection issues. So if the child is eligible, you will see it says, it turns to green here, telling you the family is eligible to participate in the MANA study. And there's a little script that you can read below to the caregiver. So you may have undertaken the eligibility assessment before contacting the family. And you can either contact the family at this point, or you can save and exit the form. If you choose to save and exit the form, simply go to the bottom of the form where it says save and exit at the very bottom and tap on that. It will warn you that some of the fields have not been completed, but at this stage we'll just say okay and leave the record because we're planning to come back to complete these at a later time. So now we can see what was a grey dot as a red dot to indicate that some of the information about the recruitment has been entered, but not all of it. Say we have now called the family and we would like to fill in the rest of the information. We can click on that red dot to open up the form again. We'll have all the information that we entered previously, and we may continue from where we were up to. So we ask that you read this script to the caregiver. We want to make sure that the caregiver does not feel under any coercion of any sort to take part in the study, but is just given the information that they need to make an informed choice. So we ask that you tell the caregivers that I am taking part in the study, looking at the way our services are delivered. It looks like you and your family are eligible to take part. Would you like me to tell you a little bit more about it? If they say yes at this point, you can continue. If they say no, just select, is the caregiver interested in participating in the study? No, and save and exit the form. If they are interested, you can tell them taking part won't affect the care you receive. It involves about 90 minutes of your time in the next week, about 1 hour in 3 months' time, and about 1 minute after each session with me. Families that take part receive a $100 in gift vouchers, and the study has received ethical approval from my organisation and the National Ethics Committee. Would you be interested in taking part? So if the caregiver is interested at that stage, you can click yes. And then, because we need to get hold of the caregivers to tell them more about the study, we ask that you check with them that you can pass their contact details on to us. So you read, the study is being run by independent researchers at the University of Otago. Would you like me to send your details to the research team to learn more about the study and how to sign up? If the caregiver does not wish you to pass on the contact details, you may click no here, and we will provide you with an information sheet that you can email or send directly to the participant. But please also inform them that they may contact us via email at mana@otago.ac.nz or via phone at the numbers listed. If you have received permission to pass on the contact details, we can click yes here and enter the contact details. By preference, we would like to do contact by email, as this helps us automate our systems, but obviously you'll work with the families and what works best for them. So we can enter our caregiver's first name, and I'm going to I'll put in the word test so we know that this is a test, and the caregiver's preferred email address. If you are entering this for testing purposes only, please put in the MANA email address. Otherwise, you will obviously put in the participant's email address. NZ. Last piece of information we'd like you to enter is when you have your next appointment with them. This is to make sure that we can get through all the required paperwork prior to the client meeting with you. So we can enter the date either by typing it in or touching on the small calendar and say we've got it planned for 2 weeks' time. And also please indicate whether the next appointment with the client is the first in this episode of care for the client. So we know that therapists work with families in different ways, and some have families on their books for quite a long time. So we just ask you to indicate whether this is the first appointment, the next appointment, the first episode of care for the client. So we'll tick yes for that one. Once all the information has been entered on this form, we set the form status to complete. So where it says complete at the bottom, we'll set that to complete. That just tells us that the form has been completely filled in, and we can click Save and Exit. Because we set the form to complete, our little dot here is now turned green, just to tell us that all the information has been entered for this participant. And that's it. Once the information has been entered for a participant, we will contact them to provide them with information about the study and for them to go through the consenting process. If the family does decide to consent into the study, you will be sent an email to tell you that they've consented to take part of the study. And then you may log in again to enter the session characteristics for this client when you meet with them. As always, if you have any trouble, please get hold of us. And thank you for your participation.